And we're back.
Detecting multiple Leviathan class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it?
Well, as fate would have it, it seems the Collector Leviathan has eaten the audio from my mic for episodes 9 and 10. These being some of the later episodes, I didn't really want to gloss over them and jump right into the final 2 episodes, which thankfully has its audio intact. But instead, what I've decided to do is to cut up episodes 9 and 10 and just sort of go through and highlight each of the key moments that took place in those episodes. While it is really unfortunate that we did lose the audio for those episodes, I hope that this highlight compilation in one single video encapsulates some of the magic that we experienced during this playthrough. I won't delay any longer, let's go ahead and jump right into episode 9. Episode 9 kicks off with a manual save, and we're peering off the back of this base because we've decided that it was finally time to check out what was back behind us. It looked just like a steep drop-off, and every time that we've tried to explore it in the past, we've been too scared to actually dive any further down. So manual save in place, and glitches on the tadpole docking station, which were aplenty during our playthrough. We finally go and explore what's behind our base in this drop-off. So with one tadpole, I grab on as we head down below, and I mean, just look at this. This is a nightmare. In the past, we tried to go down here, and it was nighttime, and we couldn't see anything beneath us, and we were frozen by fear. This time, we actually start to see some of the floor forming beneath us, and it gives us a little confidence until we run into this wall and get the first message of it being in early access. Proceed with caution. We didn't know that this was going to spawn a monster. As you can see, we're absolutely terrified. We keep looking back over our shoulder and wondering what the heck that even was. There's also a creeping fear that we've now spawned in a Leviathan right next to our base. But we look behind us so we can continue to hear the music and the screeching in the distance. And then we decide we've had enough of that, it's time to move on. Back to the alien ruins where our next objectives are. Here on the way to the alien ruins, I'm deploying a method that Jordan previously thought was a surefire way to avoid the Leviathan. If you're wondering why I'm jumping out of the water continuously, it's simply because I don't want to hear anything that's beneath me. Out of sight, out of mind. Can't hear you, can't see you, can't get eaten by you. We would later come to find that that is not always the case. But for now, it instilled some bit of confidence because we were able to go back and forth a number of times without getting eaten. But there was still plenty of fear to be had on these runs, which is another reason why we decided to build a base over here at the alien ruins so we wouldn't have to cross this over and over again. Here we're scouting out a place for our base. We want a good spot with a view like that tower off in the distance, but to still have some holes where we can put the moon pole and let our tadpoles out. This looks really good. Here we're finding some thermal vents that are nearby. These will supply our forward operating base with plenty of power that it's going to need. I'm just going to quickly test that the thermal plant that we previously discovered does actually work here next to these, and we can see the 16 indicating full power. Now, here's a moment when I finally go over to investigate these. We've been looking for enamel, and we hadn't found it, but I had a suspicion that this might be it. And sure enough, enamel husks.
The entire mineral mass of this tusk is bound by a layer of super strong collagen. If this tiny layer of cells can hold it together, so can you.
We blast some of that, and we finally have one of the last ingredients we need for the tadpole depth module. And now we're just going to do a little time lapse of us going around in the area and looking for materials for our base, as well as continuing to build the base up. If base building really isn't your thing, you can go ahead and skip to this timestamp. we pick back up as we've finally got our base to a place that we feel will be good while we're out here and doing some further exploring. In the area, we found the improved fins. This is the third of 3 parts that we needed to scan, and we get a time of day display here. 2 of 2 on these. And we finally hit the black box that was nearby.
Black box for Cord. Sorry, boss. Couldn't make it to the southeast rack. Forced down by Needler attack. I gotta make repairs. They're waiting for me outside, and I'm all out of med kits.
Here I see that the hull chassis was actually very close to that black box, and I discovered that in a previous run, which means I was very close without getting the black box. Here, as I'm gathering food, I finally pick up one of these hover thorns and discover a very viable food source for this area. Not the cooked hoverthorn, but instead this hoverthorn souvlaki? Souffle? I'm not really sure how you pronounce that. But this is going to be our main source of food out here. And back in the base, we have the strike armor and tadpole depth module that Jordan made for me. I'm going to go ahead and install those on the tadpole after running around to the wrong side and jumping back over. I get those into the upgrade slots, and the tadpole is feeling much better, equipped to survive this area. We head back out to collect some food again. And this time I muster up the courage to actually scan one of these Needler mangoes. As intimidating as this creature is, it's got a really beautiful design. And I love how when it's firing these needles at us, you start to feel like Neo the One. And the final touches on our base is simply just to build us a NOAA terminal. And with that, that was episode 9. We're going to go jump over to episode 10, which is chock full of many discoveries and distractions along the way, beginning with a message from the NOAA terminal. Let's take a listen.
Columnist black box located. Rauli Isotalo, survival specialist. Partial voice data retrieved.
They are crawling directly on me, all over me. They have many limbs and complex mouth parts. It is pitch dark, but I can hear their clattering, the snap of their claws.
As a survivalist, Iso could be a model for your work. He shares your interests: foraging, wildlife, self-defense, physical improvement. Occasionally speaking to people who aren't there. Signal location uploaded to PDA.
On our way out, we make another discovery that there's an entrance to this tower that we never noticed. And now it's time for us to venture inside and see what there is to see. The structure has incredible architecture. We can see what looks to be a button here.
This button is not operational. Recommend diagnostic scans. The door is unpowered. An Altera generator would destroy the alien electrical system. Locate an alien generator to gain access.
So with that in mind, we proceed on our way out. And here I'm going to have one of my first encounters with the Electric Geordie, something that's akin to the leeches in the lava zone in the first game. Here we pass over one of the bloom spores, which means that we're going to have another infected bloom spore trail, and I come across what is a new resource. Atacamite or Atacamite, not really sure And then I don't even grab it. I just keep on going. We see the giant arches that distracted me before. And off in the distance, looks like there's a couple things that we can start to make out. The first of which is some sort of facility or building over there. And then in the middle, we see another one of the angel combs, which should have some sort of adaptation for us. I'm pinging things over and over just to make sure that Jordan sees them as well. But we're going to take a step into this strange facility. The design of this is really cool. I think I'm remarking here in this moment that this reminds me a lot of some of the later ships that you can acquire in Starfield. And we venture inside. I don't notice it at the time, but there's oxygen in here, and some sort of console which we can't really interact with. I believe Jordan is remarking at this point in time that we need another adaptation in order to interact with this console. So, with that in mind, we head back out. Making up for lost time, I finally grab some Attackamite, and we unlock the Mangaloy. We come up here to finally scan this giant structure, which is, I guess, a heat pipe. I'm going to get a little description for it here in the PDA. It looks like the assessment states, treat bloom growth, then extend pipe to return power plant to operation. That's something we're going to keep in the back of our minds, as we don't really know how to do that yet. As we round this corner here, we can see that there's an entangled power cell, one of two that Jordan has discovered, and I see one of the first interactions between these power pylons and one of the electric currents, as well as another power cell pop up. Now it's very clear here that we need to go to the Toxic River, but first we're distracted by what looks to be some lights over in a cave on the side. Better to check that out first.
Renewable resources for massive construction projects. Pioneers on Rakshasa extracted lead from
Some
emergency
Celestine here,
shelters
which
from
we
the
already
altitude
have
from
seen
Queens.
before, and it looks like a ton of silver. So nothing we need right now, but definitely worth keeping in mind, and we return back to this toxic area. It definitely gives off a vibe of the Lost River from the first game. Maybe it's just the green. And then we hear that terrible music as we look around. Can't seem to get our sights on this guy. We don't know where he is.
Maximum depth reached. Hull damage imminent.
For now, we find it's better to back off, repair the tadpole, and then return to the hunt to see if we can get a visual of this guy, whatever it is that's triggering that music. We hear him before we see him, which is never a good feeling. Music finally starts to kick up, and we realize that he must be just above us somewhere. We can't see him. There's a wall to our back. And finally, it's hard to make out here, but we ping him. It's just barely visible to us. And then he finally creeps in. You can see him now. He's starting to become a lot clearer, and I'm backed up against a wall as he gets in close, and this is about the time that I decide that I'm just gonna live here for a while. I've got plenty of food and water and oxygen in my tadpole, and I can live here as long as it takes for him to get away. After finally mustering up the courage to hop back out of the tadpole, I noticed that you can scan these as a metal farm. There's one right next to it, and number 3 again right next to that. And like that, we have an entry for metal farming, as well as a blueprint for a metal farm. Here's about the time that we get the bad idea of going up to this structure just on the edge, and you have to go quite a bit up, which puts you well into the range of the Leviathan. Jordan goes up ahead to scout out the other side, which gives us an opportunity as he lures the Leviathan away. Noticing my chance, I swing around to the front of this place to see if there's any openings that I can spot. I don't see any, and the Leviathan looks like he locked his eyes on me, so I'm getting out of there. Here we have one of these man-made platforms, and on it we notice the first of the feedback resonators before I get jump scared by one of these big guys. Since we now know where the Leviathan is at, we have more confidence in exploring this place. An advanced battery just popped up, one of two. We found another of the hull chassis here. That marks 2 out of 3 for us, 1 more to go. And then we find this data box. Let's take a listen.
Udal Singh, the Karakoram ruins imply a civilization that developed to the same level as pre-expansion Earth. They had electrical power, industrial metals, digital computers, orbital spaceflight, the whole suite. But they arrived to the same place along a different path. They got electricity first. I think they... Oh, hang on a minute, I've got to hide. I think the Axum themselves can sense electricity, like sharks. And they figured out, hey, these long bacterial fibers, these things carry an electrical current. Then some clever Axum wrapped those fibers up into a generator. And once you've got a generator, you can make your own electricity and start pulling metal from the seawater.
During this black box listen, I find the mineralized clinker, a new material for us.
Imagine it. Undersea cities as old as Troy or Harappa, but with telegraph lines and electric lighting, thousands of years before the first flame. To us, electricity means modernity. To the Axum, it's as old as bronze.
And finally, a variant of the hoverthorn. Looks like a black hoverthorn. Doesn't give us any new recipes other than the cooked one itself. Another data box here from Zip this time.
Boss, I got my memory wiped, not my wits. There's no current. After 200 years, the whole complex must be so corroded.
And during this, I get the idea, because of one of the PDA entries, to try and clean this thing's tongue. The knife was not working, so we tried the resonator, and it worked. That thing actually came off, but I was hoping he would be my friend. Instead, he tells all his friends that this is the local dentist.
This resonator modification continues a
And we
dangerous
find
trend of adapting
the final of the
alien
modded
technology to alternate
resonators,
devices.
as I'm clenched here, worried about this group behind me. Now, back at the base, we finally craft one of the feedback resonators.
This resonator modification continues a dangerous trend of adapting alien technology to Altera devices.
And we take a look at another one of the NOAA entries.
A colorless black box is located. I can only isolate one. Udal Singh, the mission biologist. Partial voice data retrieved.
I saw The tailings! They got too far, they took Mel's tanks. Go help him! I'll be...
Do you remember when Singh challenged you to imagine the strangest alien you could? What do you imagine these tailings are? They're the ones who protect this place. They are a threat to the mission. But we can't meet every threat with a knife, can we? We can't just destroy what torments us. Signal location uploaded to PDA.
As a quick side note, I do really love the amount of depth that they've decided to add to each of these characters, where they list some of the memories that you have with them. I feel like that does actually add to the attachment that you get for these characters. And with that, that marks the end of episode 10 and the end of this strange segment. It ended up being a lot shorter than I expected after I gutted it all. But if you stuck around to the end of this one, then I do appreciate it. Sorry for making it weird on you guys, but thanks for sticking around, and I hope to see you all in the next one.